Hello everyone, my name is Prajwal Chauhan and I am working as a legal intern with Lexis and Company for the month of July. The topic for this video is going to be Directive Principles of State Policies and their importance. Unlike fundamental rights, the Directive Principle of State Policy or DPSPs are non-justiciable, which means they are not enforceable by courts for their violation. However, the Constitution itself declares that these principles are fundamental in governance of the country and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Hence, they impose a moral obligation on the state authorities for their application. DPSPs under Preamble. The preamble of the Constitution is called the key to the mind of the drafters of the Constitution. It lays down the objective that our Constitution seeks to achieve. Many scholars believe that DPSPs is the kernel of the Constitution. The directive principle of the state policies lay down the guidelines for the state and are reflections of the overall objective laid down in the preamble of the Constitution. The expression justice, social, economic, political is sought to be achieved through DPSPs. DPSPs are incorporated to attain the ultimate ideal of preamble, that is justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Moreover, it also embodies the ideas of welfare state which India was deprived of under colonial rule. Enforceability of DPSPs. Many times the question arises that whether an individual can sue the state government or the central government for not following the directive principles enumerated in Part 4. The answer to this question is in negative. The reason for the same lies in Article 37, which states that the provisions contained in the part shall not be enforceable by any court, but the principles therein laid down are nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply this principle in the making laws. Therefore, by the virtue of this article, no provisions of this part can be made enforceable in the court of law. Thus, these principles cannot be used against the central government or the state government. The non-justiciability of DPSPs make the state government or the central government immune from any action against for not following these directives. Another question arises that whether the Supreme Court or High Court can issue the writ of mandamus if the state does not follow the direct principles. The literal meaning of mandamus is a command. It is a writ which is issued to any person or authority who has been prescribed a duty by the law. This writ compels the authority to do its duty. The writ of mandamus is generally issued in two situations. One is which a person files writ petition or when the court issues a suo motu, that is own motion. Now let's talk about the relationship between fundamental rights and DPSPs. A major concern regarding the validity of DPSPs is their compatibility with the fundamental rights contained in Part 3 of the Constitution, enforceable even in the High Courts and the Supreme Court through the manner of writs. The following are the points of difference between the two. First, the fundamental rights are limitations on the powers of the government operating on an individual, whereas the DPSPs are instructions to the government for achieving certain ends through their actions. Second, anything contained in the DPSPs cannot be violated either by the individual or the state, as long as there is no law made to that effect, while there is a strict remedies against violation of individuals' fundamental right. Third, a law against the DPSPs cannot be declared as void by the court, but this is not the case in fundamental rights. Judicial pronouncements. The question that whether fundamental rights precedes DPSPs or latter takes precedence over former has been the subject of debate for years. There are judicial pronouncements which settles this dispute of Madras versus Champakan. The apex court was of the view that if a law contravenes a fundamental right, it would be void, but the same is not with the DPSPs. It shows that fundamental rights are on a higher pedestal than DPSPs. In IC Golaknath versus and others versus State of Punjab, the court was of the view that fundamental rights cannot be curtailed by the law made by the parliament. In furtherance of the same, the court also said that if a law is made to give effect to Article 39B and Article 39C, which come under the purview of DPSPs, and in the process the law violates Article 14, Article 19, or Article 31, the law cannot be declared as unconstitutional and void merely on the grounds of said contravention. New provisions of directive principle after amendment. Four new directive principles were added in the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976 to the original list. They are requiring the state to an added clause in Article 39 to secure opportunities for the healthy development of children. An added clause in the Article 39 as Article 39A to promote equal justice and to provide free legal aid to the poor. Another clause was added in Article 43 as Article 43A to take steps to secure the participation of workers in the management of industries. Another one was in Article 48, which is Article 48A, to protect and improve the environment and safeguard forests and wildlife. Now let's talk about DPSP and its implementation. Although the implementation of the principle laid down in Part 4 are not directly visible, yet they are at large and excessive of laws and government policies which reflect the application of the principles of Part 4 in the judicial history of India. Many laws and legal provisions were created by judicial reasoning. In such cases, DPSPs played a very vital role, and the courts considered the directive principles were cautiously. Policies like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act get their authority from Article 39A, which talks about the right to adequate means of livelihood. Laws about the prohibition of slaughter of cows and bullocks get their sanctity from Article 48, which deals with the organization of agriculture and husbandry. Now, finally, let's talk about importance of DPSPs for an Indian citizen. Regardless of the non-justiciable nature of DPSPs, a citizen should be aware of them. Article 37 describes this principle as fundamental in the governance of the country. The objective of the DPSPs is to better the social and economic condition of society so people can live a good life. Knowledge of DPSPs help a citizen to keep a check on the government. A citizen can use DPSPs as a measure of the performance of government and can identify the scope where it lacks. A person should know these provisions because ultimately these provisions act as a yardstick to the judge law that governs them. Moreover, it also constrains the power of a state to make a draconian law. Thank you very much for patiently listening, and please like and subscribe to this channel.